That sounds good. All right, and I'll mute myself too while you're, of course.
Okay.
You'll probably mute everybody while you're speaking.
It happens automatically as part of the webinar.
Oh, good.
All right, so I think we'll get started. All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Missy Billsborough. I am the principal of the Memorial School, and I want to thank you for taking the time to join me this afternoon. We're going to get started. Please know that the webinar is being recorded and will be available for viewing at a later date. Also, the slides that we will be speaking off of today will also be available to you. So welcome to our incoming kindergarten parent webinar. I am so sorry that we are not able to do it in person as we had previously planned. So typically when we are in session, families join me in the gymnasium. It's typically a very warm and humid day, and your children are usually in the classrooms meeting their teachers and their classmates for the very first time. Now, I have done it for many, many years, and I know that families are doing their very best to listen to all the information that we are sharing. But the reality is that everyone's thoughts are definitely in those classrooms where their children are. So while there are certainly challenges associated with COVID closings, hopefully getting this information without simultaneously having to be wondering what is happening in your child's classroom will be a bit of a bright spot today. So before I continue, I would just like to introduce you to the two people who are joining me this afternoon. Jamie Callahan. Jamie, can you give us a little wave? Thank you. Jamie is our K-8 literacy coordinator, and she works closely with me, the classroom teachers, and our reading specialists in a variety of capacities. And Jamie's going to be sharing some information about our summer reading program in just a little bit. I am also very happy to introduce you to Elena Guerrera. And Elena is one of our, yep, thanks, sorry Elena, thank you. Elena is one of our PTO co-presidents for the 2021 school year and is going to be speaking with you about the Memorial PTO. So as we look at the agenda for the time that we have together today, I just want to remind everyone that although I know it is absolutely at the forefront of your minds, I will not be able to answer any questions about what things may or may not look like in the fall. We are still awaiting information from the state as to about 85% to 90% of the mandated guidelines that schools will follow that will include everything from schedules to transportation and to cleaning. So please be assured that once our district's plan is in place, you will be hearing directly from either myself or Dr. Marsden as to what things will look like in the fall. Also, please know that today's presentation assumes the best, includes dates and information about events that would occur under a normal year's lens. And in the event that we determine that we are not able to run them per usual, we will make adjustments and we will share those new details with you. And then the last thing is there is an opportunity for questions and answers at the end. And you can submit those questions through typing, please, and we will do our best to answer them before we end today. All right, so our incoming kindergarten class, or the class of 2033, is currently made up of 176 children. Pending budget approval at the town meeting, we are currently planning to have 8 full-day kindergarten classes and 2 half-day classes, 1 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. Our full-day kindergarten class size is currently approximately 20 students as of today. And as a reminder, all of our classrooms are staffed with a teacher, a teaching assistant, who is with the kids throughout the day, lunch, recess, so that they really get familiar with that person. And in addition, classrooms could have reading and math support, special education support, or English language learning support. So for your planning purposes, this slide outlines the start and end times for our kindergarten students. For AM and full day kindergarten, our first bus typically arrives around 8:10 a.m. And weather permitting, our kids get to go outside for a short time on the playground before heading down to their classrooms. We do have staff members on duty beginning at 8:10, no earlier, so parents who may be dropping their children off are requested that they do not do that before 8:10 because there will be no supervision on the playground. And that goes up until about 8:23 or so, where the kids line up and then they head into the building for our school start time at 8:25. So no kids are allowed to enter into their classrooms before 8:25. And for those of you who may need it, the Before School Care program will once again be offered to those families who require an early drop-off. The program runs from 7 a.m. until 8:10 a.m. and it's for our kindergarten and first graders only. And it is fee-based, so it's $7 per day for a scheduled drop-off or $8 per day for a day-to-day drop-off. And Mr. Grace is our PE teacher, and for those of you who know him, he is a fantastic teacher and individual, and he will be running this program once again. So if you have questions or would like some more information, you can reach out to him directly at the email listed below. All right, so all Medfield kindergarten students are provided with bus transportation to and from school. And the bus information and routes will be emailed to you, so they will be private, but emailed to you by mid-August. So we don't post them any longer. So if you've had kids who have been in kindergarten previously, they used to be posted. We do not do that anymore. So watch for that email in late August or mid-August, excuse me. And you'll also receive a letter at your kindergarten screening that includes your child's bus number and a bus tag for them to wear. And that information helps us to make sure that we get your kids right where they need to go, and that the bus drivers know exactly where they need to go as well. Buses carry students in grades K to 5, and it is very important, especially for our age group, to know that a parent or a designated adult must be visible in order for our bus drivers to drop your kindergarten child off. If there is no adult visible that they know, or we don't know that there is an adult who has permission, your child would be brought back to the Memorial School for you to be able to pick them up there. We know that many of our families have older children, perhaps at the Dale Street School in grades 4 or 5. So if you wish for your 4th or 5th grader to have permission to take your kindergartner off of the bus, you just need to allow, to provide us with written permission so that that will be allowed. Several years ago, we began offering a bus orientation for students to help ease any concerns that they might have about riding the school bus. We found that this was really good for both kids and parents, because if it's your first child and they've never ridden on the bus before, this gives an opportunity for you to hear a little bit about our bus rules, and it also gives the kids a chance to take a quick ride. It's a very quick ride, but it takes us from the Memorial School and they loop around the Dale Street School and then come back. So the first day of kindergarten isn't the first time that they will be riding the school bus, and we found that this has been really great for our kids. So that's going to occur on August 24th at 9:30 a.m. You will join me in the gymnasium for a quick presentation, and then our kindergarten kids will board the bus for a quick ride, and then we'll be back to you shortly thereafter. So we hope that you can join us, and we'll certainly provide you with more information as that date gets closer. So at Memorial, we use a program called School Dismissal Manager. It's to help us make sure that we get our kids where they need to go at the end of the school day. And School Dismissal Manager is an online program that is accessible via an app on your phone or from a laptop, desktop, pretty much any device, and allows you to enter and update your dismissal information throughout the day up until a designated time. So in late August, you will receive an email again from the school with directions as to how to set up your account. And last year was our very first year of using School Dismissal Manager, and we received a lot of positive feedback from our families and from our staff, as it really helped to make it very clear where all kids were needing to go at the end of the school day. Should your child attend MAP, or another daycare program, you would be asked to please complete a daycare bus transportation form. And that helps to notify us of what your child's schedule is. And it goes in line with a school dismissal manager in that it lets us set up the default for your child, whether they tend to take the bus home every day or whether they go to MAP every day, or if there is an alternating day schedule, this allows us to do that. So we ask that you fill out that daycare bus transportation form as well as a standard pickup form. If, for instance, you know that your child is going to be going every Tuesday and Thursday to a particular, to MAP, I'll just use that as an example. If they're going to go every Tuesday and Thursday to MAP, that would automatically be set up as your default in School Dismissal Manager, so you wouldn't have to worry about making any changes to that. So be on the lookout. Those forms are actually going to be available via this slide. These are live links right here, so you can connect through those once I share these slides with you. But they're also available on our website at medfield.net. And you can, if you already know your child's plans for the fall, great, excellent. You can certainly share those either by emailing Ms. Sklar, who is one of our building secretaries, either before June 30th or after August 24th. So the office is staffed up until June 30th and then after August 24th with our secretary. So you can reach out and directly email her with those school plans. So as we discussed at our January meeting, all students who are entering kindergarten must be screened, and the screening typically lasts about 45 minutes and includes questions that examine personal, social development, speech and language skills, eye-hand coordination, and small and large muscle control, which is typically done during PE class once the kids are actually in the building. Besides a good night's sleep, there is absolutely nothing that you need to do to prepare your child for this screening. And it's important to remember that we recognize that this is one tool used on one day in a setting where your child is not familiar with the adult that they are working with. So we take all of that into consideration, and if there's a need for rescreening, we can do that once the kids start school officially after September 8th. But you would be the teachers would reach out to you if there were any concerns to let you know that we were going to do a rescreening. It just gives us some baseline information to which to start for instruction for all of our kindergartners. And in order to set your date, so this will take place on September 2nd, which is the Wednesday, September 3rd, our Thursday, and the 4th is a half day of school right before Labor Day weekend. So those are half day appointments only up in the morning. So those would be the days, and your kindergarten teacher will be reaching out with you with a sign up sheet so that you can pick the date and time that works best for your family for screening. So Mrs. McGuire shared a little bit of information that she asked me to pass along to you. And I know that we talked about this when we had our incoming kindergarten night way back in the winter time. But just as a reminder, if your child has had a physical over this up until this point, or will be having one over the summer, and you have some updated immunizations or other medical information, please email a copy of it to Mrs. McGuire or bring a copy with you to your screening appointment. We know that this is a unique year in that normally we would be looking for all of that material right up and to have it right in our hands at this point. But because of the closings, we recognize that some families might not have been able to do that. So please just keep us updated with those forms so that all kids will be able to start in September. And if you have any allergy, health concerns, or anything like that, Mrs. McGuire is available via email, and she would be happy to respond to your email or chat with you. All right, so at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Elena and have her share some information about the Memorial PTO.
Thanks so much. Thank you for having me. So everyone, I'm Elena Guerra. I am the now first grade co-president of the Memorial School PTO. My daughter has had a great year finishing kindergarten, so I'm excited that you all have children that are entering the school. So just a little bit about the PTO. We are part of a larger townwide PTO organization, part of the K through 8 PTO, and we are a nonprofit organization. It's all volunteer run. It's Medfield Parents and Guardians and school personnel. So some of the things we do, we organize parent volunteers, we do fundraisers, and we support educational enrichment programs. Some of the things we do are to support and appreciate the Memorial School staff with different programs and initiatives. And some of the fundraisers, I know some of you may know about the Winter Carnival for example, and we raise that money to support the school. All right, so this is just about who is on the board. So as I mentioned, I'm the first grade co-president, and then Michelle Kirkby is the kindergarten co-president. Diana Frischella is a VP. We have a treasurer, Catherine Weiss, and a secretary, Kelly Bebahani. So you could reach out to any of them if you have questions, if you know them. And I'll talk a little bit more about opportunities for people to get involved as well. All right, so this is just some slide to show some of the things that we funded. We funded, for instance, teacher and room parent startup funds. We had a great new fundraiser this fall that was an art class and sponsored an art case, which was really fun and a great success. Other programs are the preschool music program. We've had author visits. Unfortunately, we've had to shift gears a little bit this year due to everything happening with COVID, but our big fundraiser, the Winter Carnival, still brought in about $34,000. So that just gives you a snapshot of some of the things that we work on and raise money for. So if we're always looking for people to get involved. This has been a great way to meet other parents, to find out what's going on in the schools, to meet teachers and stay updated on what's happening. So I do believe we have committee chairs for each of the events next year, but we're always looking for volunteers to help out. For things like the Winter Carnival. That's a big event. Even though it was online this year, that still took a lot of planning and volunteers to help out with that. We have a hospitality committee. We've done teacher luncheons, teacher appreciation gifts. There are room parent volunteer forms that will come out in the fall. And so certainly if you're interested, you can sign up for those, and the PTO helps coordinate that. And here are just listed some of the other events that we've done in the past. So all of those need volunteers, and it's a great way to get involved if you would like. And most of the events that we have are sort of time bound. So if you want to get involved across the year, there are opportunities, but if you want to volunteer for just sort of a singular event, there are opportunities to do that as well. So all are welcome to our PTO meetings. So we have the dates here. Those will go up on the school calendar as well. We meet in the Memorial Teachers Lounge, and we alternate mornings and evenings. So we have done some of these meetings virtually as we've shifted to sort of a virtual world since COVID, but we have met in person, and certainly next year we will adjust as needed, plan for the best, but please join us if you're interested in getting involved. And even if you're not able to make the meetings, you can certainly reach out or fill out the volunteer form, which will be on the next slide, if you're interested in participating. Great, so we have a website, Medfield K through 8 PTO, and if you click on the tab for the Memorial School, there are volunteer forms. So you can fill out a volunteer form. There's also the room parent volunteer form. And you're welcome to fill it out and say what you're interested in, or if you just want to be a general volunteer, we do reach out to people who've signed up to let them know about open and available volunteer opportunities. So. And also, I think the next slide has my contact information. So if anybody wants to reach out and has questions, please feel free. So yes, we have Facebook, we have our website, and also we will publish the, in addition to the PTO meetings being on the school calendar, we also put them on the class Facebook pages so that people will know when they're coming up.
Thank you, Elena.
Thanks.
All right, at this time, I'm going to ask Jamie to share some information about summer reading.
Hi, everyone. I am a fellow incoming kindergarten mama as well. I have twins who are going to kindergarten in the fall, so I share your excitement for the time right now. I would say as the literacy... I'm not sure I understand. my watch is talking to me. As a literacy coordinator, I think the most important message that I can share with you is just as much talking, listening, reading, and writing you can do at home is the best way to prepare your child to enter into kindergarten. Nothing extra beyond that is necessary, and you'd be surprised how much kids can learn. Their literacy grows just by having opportunities to do talking, listening, thinking with you at home. Oh, I'm echoing. Miss, can you? I'm wondering if it's coming through on yours. Let's see if is that better? Okay, that's a little bit better. So our theme this year is choice, really honoring students' individual preferences and encouraging them to make their own reading choices. Currently, we're building our website it's going to house all the information that you would potentially need to kind of access some of these different summer reading initiatives and supports. For kids coming into kindergarten, there's going to be a Padlet that current kindergartners have added some recommendations to, so you can kind of see the little picture at the bottom of the screen here on the left. Those are some recommendations from current kindergarten students. So if you're looking for a good book with your child, that might be a fun place to go. There's also, if you kind of look to the bottom right of the screen, we've created a Memorial School book room where kids can go and access different books around topics of interest that they might want to know more about. In addition to that, there's lots of parent resources and other digital resources that you can access at home that can support your child throughout the summer months for reading. And I think the only other thing I wanted to just give a plug to, besides the Medfield Public Library, who always does a wonderful job with their summer reading program, is we are going to launch a virtual book fair with Park Street Books. So if you're interested in purchasing any books for your home for the summer, that would be a great place to go. 10% is going back to you, and then 10% back to the school. So there'll be information on the website about all of these different initiatives. But really, we just want to encourage you to read, write, talk with your child over the summer. If you have questions, you can always feel free to email me, or the library department head, Carrie Cowell, is also a great resource. So if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them, but thanks so much for the minutes.
Thanks so much, Jamie. I appreciate it. So in the fall, just not written on this slide, but in the fall, when you have parent information night, there'll certainly be a lot more information coming about curriculum and the different materials that we use at that time. I think Jamie touched upon some of the things that are really great to be doing with your children over the summer. And we know that as kindergartners, they come in at a variety of different places with different experiences. So we will be sharing more information with you in the fall about what their learning will actually look like and the curriculum materials that we use. I just wanted to, as you probably heard throughout this presentation, a lot of our communication is going to be coming directly to you via email. So I just ask that if you have any changes in email over the summertime, that you please get that information to us. You can email the building secretaries, or you can email myself. All that information is available on the website, and we can get those updated. We want to make sure that you don't miss anything, but also other places that you can go to for information as it becomes available is medfield.net, our website that is updated frequently, and also you can follow us on Twitter at Memorial Pre-K 1, and that also has some information. Specifics would be most likely to come on either the website or in the email, so please keep us up to date on those. So at this time, that concludes our presentation part. So I'm going to answer some of the questions that we have submitted. So there's a question about remote learning and full day K tuition, and what will happen if we end up in remote learning in the fall. Again, I can't speak specifically about what will happen to the tuition program, but what I can tell you is that all of those decisions are made through the central office. And based on this year, we looked at what was happening and families received partial reimbursement. And I think that those decisions would be made based on whatever format the learning was going to look like in the fall. How many students are in AMK and PMK? So currently, right now, we have 5 students registered for PM kindergarten and 9 students registered in the morning session. How do you update your address if you have moved but you're still in Medfield? Reach out to our office staff, please, and they will let you know what documentation we need so that we can get that updated in our system, because that will be very important for us to know, especially when determining bus lists and bus routes. If you have vacation plans during the week of K screening, do not worry, this happens often. And basically you won't sign up for a time, but you can just reach out to your kindergarten teacher and they will do screening once school starts after September 8th. We wouldn't be able to do screening before that time, but we could do it afterwards. In terms of a plan for COVID-19 in the fall, we are awaiting, as I mentioned at the beginning, we are awaiting guidance from the state as to what that will look like. The state has recommended very strongly for us not to try to make too many specific plans until we have more information about what that might look like. And we are planning, or will be planning, on a continuum, everything from full remote all the way to business as usual. I'm hoping for over here, but we'll see. And we will certainly have those plans in place. We expect guidance from the state within the next week or two. So our summers as administrators and staff will be certainly filled with making those plans and making sure that we are doing best by our kids under the circumstances that we have, and making sure that we communicate all of that information with you. We have a question in terms of what kinds of anti-racism materials will be incorporated into the curriculum this fall in light of recent events. Great question. Dr. Marsden recently sent out his blog, which you can certainly access on the Medfield website. And he talked a little bit about how over the summer, the administrative team will be involved in some professional development. In addition to that, we have been, and are currently continuing to look at the materials that we use, both from a curriculum standpoint as well as in our library and in our classroom libraries, to make sure that we are having diverse materials that reflect the values that we believe as a district, and to really make sure that our teachers and our families as well are involved in the conversations, so that we can be the best that we can be for our students. So more information to come on that in the fall, but it is something that we are definitely working on and have been working on in the past, but we know that we have a long way to go. I think that the events of late certainly show that we have a long way to go kind of as a country. So I think that we will be working to make sure that we are doing best by our kids when they are in our classrooms, and incorporating families into those conversations as well. Can you talk more about what will happen next week when we are notified of our kids' teachers? Yes, so on what day is this? Today is Wednesday. On Tuesday, you will be receiving an email from your child's new teacher that will introduce, and it will include a video that will introduce them to your child and your family through a video, talk a little bit about themselves and about what the kids can expect in the coming years. And also we are using a program called FlipGrid, so that hopefully your children will be able to leave a message as well for both their teacher and their classmates. And when you look at a FlipGrid, you will be able to see not only the teacher videos, but also the videos from all of the peers, which will give our kids the opportunity to get to know their classmates in a little bit of a format before they're able to meet face to face. So that's what will be happening on Tuesday, and we're looking forward to it. As I mentioned in my email, What we have learned over the last 3 months is that Zoom can be very overwhelming, particularly for our youngest learners until they get used to it. And we wanted to make sure that this would be a really positive experience for all of our students. So we're starting with the video format, and then if needed, we will certainly upgrade to the Zoom format once we know a little bit more about what the fall will look like. Is the infrastructure in place for full day virtual learning? That is something that we are continuing to work on. We are looking at our experiences over the last 3 months, what has worked, what hasn't worked. This was certainly new for all of us, and we're taking those best practices, and we will be creating that plan if it is needed for the fall. So it is a work in progress, but it is certainly something that will be in place should we need it. If we want to change from full-time to part-time, is there a deadline for us? Going from full day to half day is something that you can certainly do pretty much right up until school starts. It is helpful for us to know ahead of time for planning purposes if that is something that you are going to be able to do. As we have closed down full day kindergarten registration, there will be a wait list for kids who are looking to get into full-time kindergarten. So the sooner you let us know, we can certainly let other families know that a slot has become available for them. When do we find out who our teacher is? That will be happening on Tuesday. When do you expect to update families on the guidelines? I'm assuming the guidelines that you're talking about in terms of recommendations from the state. So we will, again, get those recommendations in the next couple of weeks is what we have been told by the Department of Education. And then based on that, we will work as a district. Our goal would be to get that out to families as soon as we have a definitive plan on that. It's difficult for me to give an exact date on that simply because we have learned that there are delays that happen that are out of our control. And so I can't answer that question exactly, but I can just tell you that as soon as it is available, we would get that out to families. We know that depending on what the format of the fall looks like, their families will need to do some planning as well. So we will get that out as soon as possible. Mrs. McAvoy is retiring. She is one of our long-term kindergarten teachers. And yes, we have hired a kindergarten teacher that is pending, as I mentioned at the beginning, pending the budget approval at town meeting. So at this time, we are fully planning for 8 full-day kindergarten teachers. Will you receive a letter about the teacher placement prior to the video? No, that is going to be your notification of who your teacher is that video that comes directly from the classroom teacher. An email with their teacher assignment will be sent home on Monday morning. No, that's not correct. All classroom teachers for kindergarten will be reaching out on Tuesday with the FlipGrid and their video of introduction. Our other grades, kids who are currently in K and going forward, they are finding out about their teachers via email on Monday afternoon around 4 p.m. And then they will be Zooming with their teachers after that, because all of our kids have had experience on that. There are 9 kindergarten teachers, 8 full day, and then our half day teacher who teaches an AM and a PM session. And are you expecting any drop in the enrollment numbers for fall due to COVID? Excellent question. I don't know the answer to that. I do know there's a lot of conversations that are going on, primarily through social media, as to what families are thinking to figure out what's going to work best for them. And I think that is specific to each and every family. I know that there are some families that are looking at homeschooling, while others have, who have twins may have decided to keep their twins together versus separating. So I think it really comes down to, to what is going to work for people's individual families once we know what the fall is going to look like. I'm certainly hoping that we're not going to see an enrollment. We want to see our kids, desperately want to see our kids in person, but I'm not able to answer that question at this time. Okay, is there a chance our children will go to school 1 week and be home the next to comply with reduced capacity ratios? Are you exploring moving all children to a half-day format? It will be challenging for our children to break routines every week. These are great questions and not things that I can answer specifically until we have the guidance from the state as to what we need to do. I know that there was, I think it was maybe yesterday or the day before, that on the news there was some information that came out from DESE about pre-purchasing materials in terms of masks and things like that for kids. And in that guidance was some information that alluded to some possibilities of what the fall may look like. Those should just be considered possibilities at this point because we do not have anything definitive. And until we have that definitive guidance from the state, we just really can't speculate too much. I know they have a lot of things that they're talking about, but I think, we want to look at it through the lens of early childhood, because we know that for our kids in particular, it's difficult, I think, for all kids, but for our kids in particular, we want to do what's best for them. So we would be considering, along with the guidance, how to make that work best for our youngest learners. So stay tuned. I'm sorry I can't answer that question specifically, but we will as soon as we have more information. I think I got all those questions. Are there any other questions before we let you go back to your children, who are probably maybe not in their classrooms right now, but certainly probably in your homes? All right, well, I really want to say thank you so much for taking the time to join us this afternoon. I really appreciate it. I know your schedules are very busy. I hope that it has been helpful, and certainly if you have specific questions, you can reach out to me. I will be available throughout the summer to answer any questions that you might have. And like I said, as soon as we know anything about the fall, we will be in touch so that you will know and you can begin your planning if necessary. So thanks again, Jamie. Elena, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And I hope everyone has a wonderful afternoon and a great summer. Be well, everyone. Thank you.